kommt mir etwas schwer von den Lippen, denn hier ist es kurz nach dem Mittagessen. Die Sonne brennt mächtig und die Temperaturen liegen bei circa 40 Grad vorhin. An den Ferrari-Boxen wurde die Temperatur 50 Zentimeter über der Strecke gemessen und es waren 60 Grad. Hier ein Blick aus dem Hubschrauber auf die Anlage. Alles wartet hier natürlich auf einen Heimsieg. Etwa 100.000 Zuschauer sind hier angereist nach Jacarepagua. Nun habe ich es rausgebracht. Das liegt etwa 25 Kilometer südlich von Rio. Die Chancen stehen nicht schlecht, denn die Brasilianer haben zwei heiße Eisen im Feuer. Nelson Piquet, der auf dem Brabham BMW ins Rennen geht, Weltmeister von 81 und 83, steht in der vierten Startreihe, Startplatz 8. Und Brasiliens neuer Star Ayrton Senna, 25 Jahre, in seinem ersten Rennen für Lotus Renault, sogar auf Rang 4. Die Startaufstellung wird sicher gleich eingeblendet. Hier die Bilder sind vom Schwanz der Startaufstellung. Das ist ein McLaren, der steht weiter vorne. Hier sehen wir einen Lotus. Das ist ein Alfa Romeo, den werden Sie wiedererkennen an seiner giftgrünen Farbe. Die Startaufstellung also, Trainingsschnellster war mit der Nummer 27 Michele Alboreto auf einem Ferrari. Er fuhr 1 Minute 27,76 Sekunden, das ist ein Stundenmittel von 206 Kilometer. Das ist erst seine zweite Pole-Position, die der Italiener herausgefahren hat. Die erste hatte er 1984 in Zolder und da wurde er Sieger. Das war im letzten Jahr nicht so einfach, denn Sie wissen wahrscheinlich, dass McLaren von 16 Rennen 12 gewonnen hat, also in Zolder damals Pole Position vor Michele Alboreto und auch Sieger. Heute Trainingsbestzeit für den Ferrari und mit den Ferraris, hier haben wir gerade einen im Bild gehabt, ist auf alle Fälle hier zu rechnen. Zweiter im Training war Keke Rosberg, der Finne, der in Heidelberg lebte eine ganze Weile, auf dem Williams Honda. Auch seine Trainingszeit bemerkenswert. Hier ebenfalls ein grünes Fahrzeug, das ist der Ram, das Team, mit dem Manfred Winkelhock fahren wird. Das war allerdings der Wagen seines Teamkollegen Ayo. Ich bin bei der zweiten Startposition immer noch Keke Rosberg, Williams Honda. Eine Zehntelsekunde langsamer als Alboreto. Auch er stand einmal in der ersten Reihe und zwar das letzte Mal war das genau vor einem Jahr am 7. April in Südafrika. Rosberg also Trainingszweiter. Die zweite Reihe wird von Lotus gestellt. Dritter ist der Italiener De Angelis auf dem ersten Lotus und dann der neue brasilianische Star Ayrton Senna. Hier im Bild Niki Lauda, die beiden McLaren wie meist im Training nicht ganz vorne, so war es auch im letzten Jahr, diesmal vielleicht etwas weiter zurück, als sie sich selbst gewünscht haben. Lauda ist 9., hat 2 Sekunden verloren auf den trainingsschnellsten Alboreto. Aber das Training will nicht unbedingt etwas sagen, denn es wird mit speziellen Reifen, mit sehr weichen Reifen gefahren. Einzelne Teams fahren sogar mit Trainingsmotoren, spezielle Motoren, die sehr hoch gedreht werden können, wo der Ladedruck des Turbos sehr hoch gedreht werden kann und die für kurze Zeit Höchstleistung abgeben. Im Bild der Ram von Ayo. Manfred Winkelhock war im Training 16. Das ist recht ordentlich, muss man sagen, für dieses Team. Denn es ist von Erfolgen bisher nicht verwöhnt gewesen. Für Winkelhock wird es darauf ankommen, einen sauberen Strich hier zu fahren, durchzufahren. Von der Leistung war der ATS, den es ja nicht mehr in der Formel 1 gibt, mit dem BMW Turbo-Triebwerk sicher besser. Von der Leistung, wie gesagt, dafür hat er bei Ram in einem gut geführten und gut arbeitenden Team sicher ein standfesteres Auto in die Hand bekommen. Man wird abwarten müssen. Es wird sicher nicht von einem Rennen abhängen, ob dieses Urteil gefällt werden kann. Piquet, wie gesagt, auf Startplatz 8 und Prost, der Teamkollege von Niki Lauda, in der dritten Reihe, Startplatz 6. Rosbergs neuer Teamkollege Mansell auf dem 5. Startplatz, Platz 4 für Senna, wie gesagt. Der Mann für Stefan Bellof im Tyrrell-Team hat sich für den 23. Startplatz qualifizieren können. Sie wissen vielleicht, das Tyrrell-Team mit Brundle und jetzt also mit Stefan Johanssens Ersatzmann, mit Stefan Bellofs Ersatzmann Johansson, mit Saugmotoren, hier natürlich von der Leistung weitgehend unterlegen. Auch sie werden sich darauf konzentrieren müssen, durchzufahren, anzukommen. Im letzten Jahr hat das Brundle ganz gut geschafft. Er belegte einen 6. Rang. Die Hitze wird hier mitfahren, wird mitentscheiden in diesem Rennen. Es wird darauf ankommen, wer die Reifen am schonendsten behandelt und wer mit seinem Treibstoff am besten auskommt. In 3 Minuten wird die Einführungsrunde gefahren werden. Ich habe Ihnen die Trainingsleistungen gesagt. Vielleicht besser und eindrucksvoller und aussagekräftiger für das Rennen sind die Leistungen vom Warm-up, das heute Morgen eine halbe Stunde lang gefahren wurde. Mit vollen Tanks die Teams, mit den harten Rennreifen, praktisch als letzter Test, um zu sehen, wie die Autos liegen, was sie leisten können, wenn der Tank voll ist. Und da war Prost der Beste. Prost der Beste mit vollen Tanks, mit harten Reifen. Aber auch Alboreto war zweitschnellster und dann Lauda als drittschnellster. Sie sehen also, so sehr viel hat sich gegenüber der vergangenen Saison in der Formel 1 nicht verändert. Man wird auf alle Fälle mit dem McLaren-Porsche-Team rechnen müssen. Prost und Lauda.
Well, a happy Easter from Rio de Janeiro. This is Jackie Stewart with John Bisignano covering the first of the 1985 World Championship events in Rio here. Magnificent weather, very warm indeed, 98 degrees air temperature with 126 degrees track temperature. This is the first of 14 events ESPN are going to bring to you live, probably the best coverage that's ever been in American television of international Grand-Prix racing. Certainly going to be an exciting year of motor racing. What are we going to do right now? We're going to look at a lot of things. This is the track that we're looking at right now, and there's a lot of questions about this track today. First of all, is Niki Lauda going to be able to defend his World Championship for this year? Can he hold on? Well, who knows? Another question for 85, can Alain Prost stop being a bridesmaid? Can Ferrari unseat the tag? Can Nelson Piquet try and bring it back? Right now you're looking at the Lotus right there. That's Ayrton Senna, the young Brazilian who's a hero here. And Niki Lauda you're looking at, the reigning world champion. John Bisignano, he's had an opportunity of seeing what's been going on this week. John, with 1 minute to go.
Well, I tell you, Nicky, all the things that you just mentioned will be very much depending on the heat situation here. Like you said, it's 90 plus. That means a cockpit temperature of over 160 degrees. A driver can lose between 6 and 9 pounds at a race like this. It affects the tires, the motors, every element of the car.
Well, the cars are lined up on the grid here, or at least in the pre-grid. They will do one more lap around here. That's Michele Alboreto driving the Ferrari on pole position. Let's go through the starting lineup as they move away. Michele Alboreto and Ferrari with Keke Rosberg in the number 2 position driving the Williams Honda. Then down to De Angelis in the Renault GPS, that's the Lotus, with Ayrton Senna just beside him, the other Lotus with the Renault engine. Then down to Nigel Mansell with the other Williams Honda, with Alain Prost in 6th position with the tag McLaren. Remember, Prost was 2nd in the World Championship last year. Then you have Rene Arnoux in the other Ferrari. He is in 7th position in practice, followed by Nelson Piquet, the first of the Pirelli runners. The others are on Goodyear. He's driving the Olivetti Brabham this year with the BMW engine. 9th fastest is Niki Lauda in the McLaren tag. That's the tag Porsche engine. Alongside him in his Renault is Derek Warwick, the Britisher, driving, of course, the Renault Elf. Then we come to Patrick Tambay. Patrick Tambay on the 6th row driving for Renault, with Terry Boots and the young Belgian with the Arrows BMW in the 6th row also. On the 7th row, Andrea Di Cesare driving the Renault for the first time this season. The Renault engine, the Ligier, the French combination, with Riccardo Patrese with the Benetton Alfa Romeo back on the 7th row. On the 8th row, Jacques Lafitte, the oldest driver in the race, driving the Ligier with the Renault engine. Alongside him, Manfred Winkelhock of Germany with the Skoll Bandit, the Ram. Then we've got, and they're warming up the tyres, this movement that you television viewers in America have become used to over these years, being able to see these tyres being warmed up as they come down the long back straight here. It's in front of the pits, in fact. There are two straights in front of the pits with Alboreto and the Ferrari leading there. Let me just finish this grid for you, because after that comes Henol, then Cheever, the only American driver in the race. He's in the 9th row, with Berger of Austria, followed by Alliot and the other Skoll Bandit, with Martin Brundle coming in with the Tyrrell with the Ford engine, Ginzani with the Ocello, Johansson with the other Tyrrell Ford, Mauro Baldi with the Spirit Heart, and Martini, the young Italian driver, filling out the grid. The car's going round the lagoon there. John, it's warm, but it's very clear skies, a beautiful day.
Well, it might seem strange that these drivers are actually warming things up with a 100 and plus track temperature. But still, when that flag drops, everything must be in good working order. That means oil temperatures up, water temperatures, and even tires. The tires need to have the grip, and that comes once they're warm, but there's a very fine line, especially here in Rio. If they start to cook them, they'll lose all their grip and have to make the pit stops for a clean set. That's time and places down the road.
I think we are going to see pit stops. Each team, I think, with the possible exception of the Tyrrell team, are planning to come in for tyre changes. The tyre change itself will only take a matter of about 8 or 9 seconds, but slowing down, coming into a very tight pit entrance here, could probably mean 45 to 50 second difference on the lap that they're coming in for tyres. And there you see the Ferrari leading the pack round here, the young Italian driver. He's the first Italian to win in a Ferrari for 18 years when he won the Belgian Grand-Prix in 1984. Very talented driver. The Ferrari being very torquey, that's to say low-end power acceleration in this Ferrari is excellent. Keke Rosberg almost alongside him on the grid. You can see that grid there as they approach from turn 1.
What you're going to see on your screen is a green light. And that green light means go, and a several 100,000 horsepower will be released. The back of the grid is just forming up now. They'll go to a red and then a green.
So the Brazilian Grand Prix of 1985 is about, and the red light is on, is about, and it's green. And they're all, Keke Rosberg made an incredible start. Keke Rosberg made a start, and the Lotuses have both passed the Ferrari. The Ferrari finds himself in third position as he goes into turn 1. And there's an incident, there's an incident. One car has spun off already, but it's Keke Rosberg in the lead as he pulls away clearly. He made a very clean start. Keke Rosberg in the Honda engine Williams. He drove well here last year. The Ferrari seems to be in second place. It looks like Mansell. It looks like Nigel Mansell in the Honda, the teammate to Keke Rosberg, as he really takes a handful of a lead. Rosberg's used to being a very aggressive driver. He's well known for it. Alboreto is lying in second place in the Ferrari right now, going to drive a cautious race, I predict. Then you have one of the McLarens up there. It looks like Alain Prost has got himself in third position. Mansell is asking for assistance. Regulation perhaps will be a problem, as at the end of the main straight, it's Keke Rosberg in the Canon-sponsored Williams. Second is Alboreto, third is Prost. Then you have the two Lotuses, followed by Arnoux, and then Nelson Piquet, followed by Niki Lauda, with the first of the Alfa Romeo cars of Patrese following them through.
Remember when Keke Rosberg was qualifying, his clutch was actually slipping, and he felt that he could have gone quite a bit faster, and he's proving tremendous race speed here. Of course, the cars are set up quite differently for qualifying and race, and Keke certainly seems to have the right combination when it comes to the race setup.
The big question for Keke here is to keep his tyre temperatures cool. It's a question of not abusing your tyres. They're all the front runners running on Goodyear tyres. At this time, Nelson Piquet is the first of the Pirelli runners at the moment. But Keke Rosberg, who a very good job last year. His car caught fire, of all things, in the pits while he came in for refueling last season at Brazil. And he lost the race because of that. But you see how he's sliding that car, John? I would suggest that he is risking quite a lot by getting those tire temperatures up that hot at this stage.
Well, he's certainly taking a risk on his race philosophy. Of course, when you're planning on making a tire pit stop, it's always nice to have a good lead. But he's going to have to hold at least till third distance or longer before coming in.
So the order: Rosberg, Alboreto, Prost, Senna, De Angeli, and Arnaud. Driving round the fast turn, he's now going through the S's, a right and then a left. He then accelerates hard in third gear along towards the lagoon. He's going through the lagoon right now, driving up towards the what they call the 90-degree corner, the right angle corner, and now heading towards the final turn in this lap. That's to say, they call it the pit hairpin.
Michele Alboreto is staying within striking distance, and he doesn't seem to be using his car quite as much. He's not sliding, his tires are looking in good shape, so Keke is going to really have to slow down here in the near future to be able to save his rubbers.
I think you'll find that Alboreto and Prost and the two Lotuses are driving more conservatively, and you can see that Keke Rosberg car does have a bit of oversteer. That means to say the rear end of the car is sliding out.
Im Verlauf des Rennens wird man sehen. Rosberg, Alboreto, Prost, die Abstände unverändert, dann die beiden schwarzen Lotus. Und das ist Piquet. Nelson Piquet hat die Piste verlassen. Nach 2 Runden. Das aus für den Doppelweltmeister von 81 und 83. Welch eine Enttäuschung für die zahlreichen Zuschauer hier.
Here to see their national hero Nelson, two-time world champion, and their new young lion, Ayrton Senna. And with Nelson gone, that's half of their hero list already out very early here.
Well, there you go, back to the leader again, Keke Rosberg from Finland. Quite a talented young man, has come up the hard way in motor racing, had a lot of experience in the United States, racing all kinds of formula, right up to Can-Am, 5,000, Formula Atlantic. Certainly has made himself felt over here in Europe and, of course, in South America. Very spectacular driver, John. Some say it's a driver that crowds like to see because he surely is spectacular.
As you can see, Keke is driving with full tanks now, and in several spots on the track, the car is actually bottoming out. If you see sparks coming up from underneath, that's where the aluminum underneath the car is actually making contact with the track. You'll see it especially right at the end of the main straight here, just in front of the commentator's booth.
Well, we've just been told that Michele Alboreto has put up the fastest lap in the race so far, but we'll be back with more live coverage from Rio de Janeiro after this.
Rennen zurückbeförderten. Das ist an den Boxen nicht erlaubt. Rosberg und Alboreto setzen sich etwas an. Der Abstand auf Prost ist ein wenig größer geworden, beträgt aber immer noch nicht mehr als etwa 100 Meter. Rosberg. Er ist voll motiviert nach einer schwächeren Saison des vergangenen Jahres. Williams Honda kam nicht zurecht auf die Beine. Das Fahrwerk lag nicht besonders. Der Honda-Motor erstmal seine volle Saison dabei, brachte keine Leistung, war nicht zuverlässig. War eine lange Durststrecke für das Team von Frank Williams, aber man hat offensichtlich im Winter...
Right, this is Jackie Stewart back in Rio de Janeiro with John Bizignano covering the Grand-Pri of Brazil, the first of the World Championship Series of Grand-Pri racing. You're looking at the leader of this Brazilian Grand-Pri. He is being followed very closely, however, by the second man. Keke Rosberg leads. Michele Alboreto is in second position. In third position now is Alain Prost, and look at Alboreto. He's getting very close, attempting to overtake. He tries to go inside at the end of the main back straight where we'll be doing a round about 128 miles an hour. He wasn't able to make that pass. The Ferrari now dogging him through the S's, down to the lagoon, braking for the lagoon quite heavily. And look at the oversteer, look at the sliding of Rosberg's car. The Ferrari doesn't appear to be sliding at all. And coming into the pits right now is Mauro Baldi. Mauro Baldi coming into the pits, an early problem for him. Back to the leader.
Keke Rosberg, again, starting with three different types of tire compounds. It looks like under braking, the car is superior to the Ferrari. When coming out of the corners, the Ferrari sticks like glue, and Keke is having some trouble putting the power down to the ground. I think that's where Michele is making up coming out of the corners, Jackie.
Well, Michele, in fact, has two different types of rubber. He's got softer rubber on the inside corners on the left-hand side than he has on the right side. By the way, the position you see there is what's known as the international feed. These are the graphics supplied to all of the countries who take this television coverage. You will be seeing that coming up on the screen occasionally with the fastest lap or the fastest straight line speed. These are the information pieces that we get fed to us by Globo, the television company Brazil. So it's a very nice morning. Of course, the time down here is just about 12 minutes past 1 in the afternoon, as you saw Nelson Piquet walking back to the pits there. There is the time change, so it's an early morning in New York. All our friends there. Hope we didn't waken you up.
Keke definitely has an advantage on braking, but again, when it comes to coming out of the corners, Michele is always able to catch up with you. And remember, Michele has someone in his rearview mirrors too. Alain Prost, the winner of 7 Grand Prix last season. He's playing this very cool. Michele has the responsibility of both trying to catch Keke, but Prost is right up his exhaust.
Alain Prost doesn't qualify quite as well as he races sometimes. The reason for that is that the TAG engine, the TAG Porsche engine, does not have the high power output under boost because those are turbocharged engines. Some of those cars put special engines in just for practice. TAG do not do that, and they don't have the sort of additional horsepower that some of the other competitors have. So you see Lauda and Prost being slightly down the grid at times. That doesn't mean to say they're not going to be competitive in the race.
Niki Lauda has not actually secured a pole position since he's come out of retirement. But when it comes to finishing races and then finish them in the number 1 spot, he certainly is the best.
Well, ironically, in my career, I didn't have so many pole positions. I think I had only about 17 or 19 in total, but I did win 27 Grand Prix. Really, it's when, you know, it counts. So they're going into the south turn now. That is the very fast fourth corner. They're using 5 gearboxes in these cars. You can see from that picture, Alboreto, the last time he passed here was just 0.9 of a second behind the Honda engine Williams. You see also the flame coming out the back of the Williams quite a lot there. Quite interesting that. You won't see a flame coming out of the Ferrari engine. They've got an ingenious method that when they switch off the gas pedal, the fuel immediately stops. Whereas in the other turbocharged engines, the fuel feeds in to the turbo itself, and because of the incredible high temperatures, thousands of degrees, it of course ignites, and you see that flame coming out of the back end. You make mention that the two John Player Lotuses are also doing quite well. They seem to be driving, well, not conservatively, but they seem to be in a little bit different of a racetrack than
Keke Rosberg for sure. Right now, Ayrton Senna is fourth, and his teammate Elio De Angelis, who was actually fastest the first day of qualifying, is in the fifth spot.
Oh, well, in fact, the Lotuses are driving conservatively, and they have harder rubber on than anybody else. They've found very hard rubber to try and put on their right rear tyre, because that's the tyre that has most problems round this racetrack, because there's a lot of left-hand bends, and the right rear tyre gets a lot of pressure. Now the Ferrari tucked in behind the Honda engine Williams, with Alan Prost just tucked in behind the Ferrari. They're in the draft and in the slipstream. These three cars now having opened up a considerable gap as we look from our commentary position to the two Lotuses. And in fact, the Lotus itself has a fairly comfortable gap over his fellow Lotus. So therefore, we're in fairly good position for them. If I were driving this race, John, I think I would be very happy to be in the position of Alboreto or Prost right now.
Really, when you think about, we have three different types of chassis, three different types of motors, and they're really tied nose to tail. When turbo racing became the only way to go in Formula One, the criticism was that it wasn't competitive. You didn't see cars all within the same second or 2 seconds of one another. But here in Rio, we have at least the first 7 cars all within the first 2 seconds of one another, all within scoring position. And you can see that Keke has begun to become a little bit more conservative in his driving style. These 2 laps must have really brought his tire temperatures up to maximum. And coming on to the main straight, the 3 of them will be trying to negotiate into a passing position.
Okay, so we have Keke Rosberg. Let me give you the order right now. Keke Rosberg is lying first in the Brazilian Grand-Pri. Michele Alboreto's in second, closely followed by Alain Prost. Then Ayrton Senna in the Lotus is fourth, by his own teammate De Angelis, and then in fifth position, René Arnoux. ESPN's order rating 5 will continue. This is Jackie Stewart with John Bissignano.
Ein halber Punkt. Über den Monitor hinaussehen können. Nigel Mansell, der sich bereits in der ersten Kurve von der Piste drehte, kommt an die Box. Hier sehen Sie es. Wahrscheinlich doch ein Laderschaden. Löschpulver ist das sofort über das Fahrzeug gesprüht wird. Wenn Öl auf den heißen Lader tropft, dann ist die Gefahr, dass es sich entzündet, sehr groß. Lauda nun auf Rang 6 vorgerückt, hat Arnoux passieren können. Ansonsten die Reihenfolge an der Spitze unverändert. Rosberg, Alboreto, Prost, De Angelis, dann Lauda, Winkelhocker auf.
John Bissignano here in Rio de Janeiro for the first of the World Championship runs that we'll be covering here in ESPN through 1985. We'll be bringing you 14 Grand Prix live. Pretty impressive, and look, the Williams was in trouble there. Keke Rosberg's in trouble. He's had a turbo blow. So Michele Alboreto takes the lead, and Keke Rosberg is in trouble. I think that's the end of his day. Alain Prost finds himself in second position right now. Ayrton Senna is in third. Elio De Angelis is in fourth. That's a big turn up for the books. He's coming into the pits. So the big cheer comes out from this very Italian-oriented crowd here. If the Brazilian's not going to win this race, there's a great following for the Italians. So here we have a whole new ball game.
Well, that's both Williams out of the race very early. Nigel Mansell came around after the start, and you can see the flames coming out from underneath the car. It's definitely a blown turbo. Oil oil burning underneath the car. They've got to get an extinguisher on that. Bit of confusion in the McLaren pit. Keke doing a repeat of his quick exit from the firing car before. But both Williamses out of this Brazilian Grand Prix extremely early, both with motor problems.
So we have a new leaderboard there. Rosberg still is credited with 6th position on that board only because of the laps that he had completed, because the information would have been from the lap before. Keke Rosberg takes off his balaclava for protection against fire and dejectedly walks back to the Williams pit after having put up a very exciting drive. Alan Prost, by the way, he's in 2nd position, but Niki Lauda has just passed Elio De Angelis to take himself into, what is that? Himself into 4th position, and there is Hinault with the other Brabham, Francois Hinault, the young French driver with the Brabham. He's retired. That means that both BMWs have given up with the Brabham team. That's a bad start for the season for them.
Jackie, before the start of this race.
And this is Niki Lauda, by the way, the first we've really seen of on the net coverage so far. Niki Lauda has got himself in 4th position right now. Tremendously experienced driver, a man who's going to give my record a little bit of a rumble this year. If he wins 3 more Grand Prix, he ties with my record of 27 Grand Prix victories, which is more than anybody else has won in the history of motor racing. And I'm sure Niki's going to do it. It's just a question of time.
Well, before the start of this race, Jackie, Jacques Lafitte said that anyone who finishes will collect some points. I think in the opening round here, we've seen quite a few retirements from very technically strong teams.
Well, I think you're absolutely right that the heat plays a big part in that. There you see Niki Lauda carrying the colours in his helmet of Lauda Air, his airline. He's got a charter airline in Austria, coming out of the north hairpin, heading up the straight. We're looking at Alboreto with his blue and yellow crash helmet, and of course the nationally recognized Ferrari red, the racing national colours of Italy. He did win the Belgian Grand Prix, which, as I said earlier, was the first time in 18 years that an Italian driver had won a Grand Prix driving a Ferrari car. It's 30 years since an Italian won the World Championship in a Ferrari car, so he's looking towards that possibility this year. I would say, John, that he does seem to be driving a little more aggressively tire-wise than Prost.
Well, the McLaren always looks like it's on a rail, but he's beginning to come up on some back markers now, and actually he's coming up on another Italian back marker. And he's going to have to try and pull out a bit of a lead to make sure that if the back markers slow him down, that Prost won't take that opportunity to go by. Michele has been aggressive at this track before. Last year he actually led the opening lap until a brake caliper failed, and he actually went off 3 times before getting up to the fight and into the pit.
Well, just a small technical note here. The Ferrari, in fact, is driving on carbon composite discs and pads for the first time. They had a modification carried out during the year, and this is the first time that they are going to do the carbon composite brakes on this Ferrari for this race. So until now they've been using, of course, the metal discs with the normal metal and asbestos combination pad. But this is something that worked for them last year, and of course I'm sure they're hoping that he won't be breaking anything this year.
You can see Michele got by the very gentlemanly way on the main straightaway there, and both CDS was down around the Laguna turn. That water you see in the background is not actually the ocean, it's the Lagoon Harbor type situation here in Rio. But Alain Prost is doing what he does best, sitting back, conserving every part of his machine to strike at the perfect moment.
I, in fact, have chosen Alan Prost to win the World Championship in 1985 just because I think he's got the best combination of team, of tires, of engine, of mechanics, and of course, last but not least, driver talent. I think he could win the championship. I think Alboreto could give him a very serious push for the championship. It'll be difficult for Niki Lauda to win the World Championship this year. Of course, he won it last year with 72 points in the championship, half a point better than Alan Prost, who was second, but Elio De Angelis was third in the 1984 point standings. Alboreto in the World Championship last year was fourth, with Nelson Piquet fifth and René Arnoux sixth. The World Championship, incidentally, is made up with collecting points. 9 points for a first place, 6 for a second, 4 for a third, 3 for a fourth place, 2 for fifth place, and 1 point for sixth place. So we will be back for more live Formula One action in Rio de Janeiro, and we'll continue on ESPN's racing coverage after this.
Und dahinter Niki Lauda auf dem 4. Rang. Wenn ich diese Hubschrauber-Einstellung eben richtig gedeutet habe, dann Lauda auch Senna überholt, im Moment noch nicht im Bild zu sehen. Ja, das wird es wohl gewesen sein. Schwarzes Auto, weiß-rot, müsste ein McLaren sein, vielleicht erkennen wir es jetzt hier. Auch nicht. Jawohl, Niki Lauda auf Rang 3 an Senna vorbei. Für Aufregung im vorderen Teil des Rennens sorgen also bisher lediglich Ausfälle und Niki Lauda, der in der Zwischenzeit vom...
We're back in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. The first round of the World Championship from 1985. Alboreto is still leading, followed by Alan Prost. And there is Alan Prost coming into your screen, getting closer. Now, ESPN, your force in motor racing coverage, continues to bring you live Formula One racing on Sunday, April 21st, when we travel to Estoril, Portugal, for the Portuguese Grand-Prix. That's Sunday 21st at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So after that, 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, and of course we'll be live once again.
Kelly Alboreto actually pulling out a little bit of distance on Prost now. Difficult to tell from our vantage point where the differences between these two cars are coming about. They're so equally matched as far as drivers. For sure, Kelly, very talented young lion, but Alain Prost with a little bit more experience. Alain coming up on the back marker now into the Ostella area. I'm sure Gonzani is looking into his rearview mirrors. Does not want to hold up the leaders of the Brazilian Grand Prix. And now Niki Lauda is actually in third place position, going by Ayrton Senna. McLaren in their familiar role of leading nose to tail. Kelly Alboreto easily by Gonzani there. Alan Prost follows them on the inside. Both of them past that mark very clearly. Now watch Niki. We'll keep you up to date as far as Niki's progress a little bit further down the track. This is what he does best. Tuck away at the leaders. And it won't be long until he is right up with his teammate Alain Prost. So many times last year we saw the same image.
Well, the graphic that you saw coming up on your screen perhaps there, if you were getting the international feed, was telling us that Niki Lauda has now done the fastest lap in this race, John, so you can see that that's pretty impressive. And there we have the leaderboard: Alboreto, Prost, Lauda, Senna, De Angelis and Arnoux. So that's the order at this time. That is at 16.
And again, there's several engines involved in the leading group. Of course, the Renaults are building their own cars, but they also power several other chassis. And the Lotus has always been a team that can develop a chassis that is adaptable to almost every type of track condition. And even though the Renault car has the factory Renault engine, the Lotus gets the exact same engine that the factory team also receives. And in the pit, we can see from our vantage point here that one of the Tyrrells, that's your old team, Jackie, coming into the pits. I think it's Martin Brundle.
Yes, it looks like that's a problem for Tyrrell. They were hoping to go the full distance on tires, John, so that they wouldn't have to come in and therefore be able to take full advantage of their slightly more economical vehicle, because they are not using the turbo engine. They're using the straightforward 3-litre 4 and they were hoping to go the full distance without a pit stop, but certainly Martin Brundle has been in the pit. And I would have to observe from the picture we're looking at right now that Michele Alboreto's car is definitely slipping more than Alain Prost's car. Prost's car is just a little bit more secure. That's our helicopter shot here from Rio de Janeiro. We have 12 cameras down on the circuit plus one helicopter camera. It's Brazilian television that we must thank for our feed. And this is the south turn, the Curva Grande that you're looking at. We enter close to 200 miles an hour, drop it into fourth gear, power it down a sort of constant radius turn before going into the S's that you're looking at right now. And then heading towards the lagoon. That's the water of the lagoon you see in the top of your picture. Michele Alboreto accelerates in third gear, coming up behind some back markers into the 90-degree corner. Accelerates hard. They're now approaching the strongest braking corner. This is where they put the brakes on. They're down into second gear for this corner. And Lauda's very close to them. They're accelerating up to around 11,400 revs in the Ferrari before changing gear. Getting up to about 160 miles an hour before they commit to turn one. And Nicky Lauda is definitely catching the leader, as he does so well. Ayrton Senna is quite a bit back in the fourth position now. And his teammate, Elliott, must be a good 20 seconds behind our leader. You see on the Ferrari, they've changed the entire radiator setup here, which is very important in Rio. And the radiators are now mounted vertically instead of horizontally. That big hole there on the side of the car is where the air is expelled out from where it comes in from the front, sort of a ram air effect. And you're looking at
close. As you can see, Alain Prost definitely under braking. Now their acceleration, you can see the Ferrari, Jackie. He really pulls away under acceleration, but on the brakes, Alain Prost, that's where he gains his ground, in the traffic. Alain Prost, on the outside, on the brakes, takes a look, but decides to cut back in.
I think Prost is looking for a place to pass now. I think we're going to see some very early motor racing coming up. Prost, I think, has the legs of the Ferrari, and it's a question of him finding the right place to do it. I believe he was thinking about it through traffic there, trying to find a little gap in Alboreto's judgment. It wasn't to be, however. Albo dealt with it very clearly. I've reckoned Alboreto for quite a few years. He drove for Ken Tyrrell, went to whatever he calls the Tyrrell School. Ken Tyrrell, who's not having as much success as he has in the past, has still a wonderful preparation for young drivers to go through his team. And look at that. Something's happened to the Ferrari, and Alain Prost just motored by. Either Alboreto missed a gear, but Alain Prost has taken the lead of this Grand-Pri of Brazil. He won it last year. And there you see the pass. I think you'll find it was a missed gear. I think he missed a gear. It would be going from third into fourth gear. Prost finds himself now with a track to himself. He'll be getting all of the attention now from the track marshals who take out a blue flag to advise following cars that someone's about to pass. And everybody obviously pays more attention to the leader of the race than to anybody else. So Alain Prost, who won this event last year, who so nearly won the World Championship last year, now finds himself in a very good position to try and repeat that victory.
Coming up on the Stall Bandit through turn one.
And Nicky Lauda, John, is closing on Alboreto. Nicky Lauda has really come on well.
I think Alboreto has a problem, Jackie. Maybe on the brakes, same thing as last year. The corner that he was taken in is a heavy braking situation, and possibly Alboreto's brakes may have a problem with that carbon fiber situation.
I rather think, however, that it's transmission, because he was passed on an acceleration area, John, and it would look like he might have lost third or fourth gear. That's a possibility. But of course the brakes have been giving him troubles, although this is not historically a heavy braking area. Now watch this as they go along the pit straight. He doesn't seem to have lost anything on that straight, so I would say that he's okay for gears right now. He's got all of them working. Alain Prost there, very talented young man. Last year won 7 Grand Prix, more than I ever did. I twice won 6 Grand Prix in a season. attention. I think he's won about 16 or 17 Grand Prix. I think 16 Grand Prix total for him in his lifetime. This is Alain Prost we're talking of. And of course he could seriously threaten Niki Lauda and for that matter myself very soon in the total number of victories.
And he's such a fine young gentleman, Jack. In the past 2 seasons, we've lived with him going right up to the very last race and still ending up the bridesmaid. If there's anyone who deserves the Formula One championship, it's Alain Prost from France. And there's never been a French Formula One champion. All the great drivers they've had, and they've never produced a Formula One champion.
Now that is pretty surprising because they've had a great number of them. There was this so-called French school of racing. And right now we're looking across, but just behind him there is a push and a shove going on. Alboreto's got past one of the Stroll Bandit cars. Niki Lauda's tucked in behind him, and he's now going to get pretty close to Alboreto. You'll see them coming onto the main straight here. And there they are, in close company. Okay, ESPN's Motor Racing 85 will continue live from the Brazilian Grand Prix after these messages.
Verdaut. Das kann auf der einen Seite ein Motivationsschub sein, der nur noch mehr Kräfte weckt. Auf der anderen Seite ist auch die Neigung da, auf den Weltmeisterschaftslorbeeren etwas auszuruhen. Es gibt sehr viele Feiern, sehr viele Ehrungen über den Winter. Niki Lauda hat sie alle mitmachen müssen. Ein Renault fährt, so sehe ich, über den Monitor hinaus, ein wenig über die Wiese, das ist VB gewesen. Und hier der Kampf um Platz 2. Vorne Alboreto, dahinter Niki Lauda. Prost ist schon ein ganzes Stück enteilt. Und da ein Reifenschaden. Der Reifen hängt in Fetzen von der Felge. Schade, dass wir es nicht zu sehen kriegen. Patrese ist das.
This is Jackie Stewart along with John Visignano giving you live coverage of ESPN's motorsporting event for 1985, the first of the World Championship events. And there you see one of the cars, the Ligier, coming into fuel. But we go back now to look at Alain Prost leading this Brazilian Grand Prix. Took the lead just a few moments ago. Well, of course, we were still giving you live coverage from Michele Alboreto, who has been pressured very heavily. One of the Benetton Alfa-Romeos has just come into the pit with a burst tire, the tire flapping in the wind. There you see Prost coming up behind a couple of the back markers. Patrick Tambay is one of them in the Renault, with one of the, I think it's Terry Boutsen in the Arrows BMW before that. That is Jacques Lafitte accelerating out in the Ligier with the Renault engine. Prost taking his time where he's going to pass here. There's no point in getting into trouble. Look how he's dropped back there. No point in getting into trouble at all. And you see, that is in fact Derek Warwick in the Renault. As he comes alongside there, the car of Terry Boutsen and the Barclay-sponsored Arrows. And Alain Prost leading this race comfortably, chooses not to stick his nose in. Now that's what I like to see from a mature driver. He's just 30 years of age. Look at that. He's accelerating through under braking now as he goes through the lagoon. Accelerating ahead again. Now he's got to pace himself. Renault. He'll do that. He's going now along to the hardest braking area.
The battle for second place is still going on between Alboreto. Now, Jackie, when he comes out of the turn, you can see him. He's definitely found his gearbox problem seems to be solved. It had to be a mischief earlier. I don't think that mechanical problem is something that's going to happen every lap.
No, he obviously just missed a gear shift. That's what it appeared to me to be at the time, but I just wondered whether he had a gear selection problem. Sometimes you can lose one gear in one of those racing boxes. This is Prost, our leader in the red and white car, carrying number 2, finished second in the World Championship last year. And the car numbers, in fact, dates back to where the constructor wins the World Championship, and he gets the number 1 and number 2 cars numbers during the season. Again, our helicopter shot here from about 30 miles outside of Rio de Janeiro, and very warm temperatures, around about 97 or 98 degrees. The track temperature around about 125 degrees. And there you see Michele Alboreto driving number 27, the red Ferrari, is in second place. Closely followed by Niki Lauda in car number 1, the reigning world champion. Has been world champion 3 times.
It's nice that Ayrton Senna is still within striking position. Again, 100,000 plus Brazilians. I would love to see Ayrton, who is actually destroying the Lotus team for the first time this season, moving from the Tolman team. And really, it's his first chance to ever really score, Jackie. He has a great deal of potential. They sort of refer to him as the new young lion, Niki Lauda type. And he has fulfilled everyone's expectations to this point.
I think Ayrton Senna is certainly one of the drivers to look for in the future. I think it'll take him another 2 years, John, before we can expect any great things from him. By the way, the 2 Lotuses today are running with what the 2 drivers call cool heads. It's been known in America before, and in fact it's a cooling device that goes over the driver's head, which is quite sophisticated. It is made by an American company. A man called Dennis Carlson is down here, and he's got 2 Lotuses fitted up with that. Patrick Tanley is also wearing one, as both Tyrrell drivers also started wearing the cool head. Keke Rosberg, in fact, ran the Dallas Grand-Prix with one of those special helmets on, which fits underneath the crash helmet and the balaclava, and it's really designed to give the driver a better chance of not getting fatigued in these incredible temperatures. And we have Senna going past, and Niki Lauda's in trouble. Niki Lauda has had a problem. Ayrton Senna has passed him, and now Ayrton Senna is in 3rd position. So we have Alain Prost leading with Michele Alboreto in 2nd place, and Ayrton Senna from Brazil in 3rd position. A great cheer from the partisan crowd here as Niki Lauda obviously ran into trouble and is driving slowly around the racetrack right now.
Jackie, do you think there's any chance whatsoever that the Lotuses might try and go without a pit stop?
I don't think so. I think the Lotus is well stocked on the tyres. These front runners are running on the Goodyear tyres. They're the Goodyear radial tyres for racing. But the heat here, they consider it's a better idea to run and come in to the pits to change tyres, just to be sure. They have very hard tyres, and there is Niki Lauda coming slowly backing into the pits. He will now stand, he's waving his arms as he's putting it straight into the garage area. This is the first round of the World Championship from 1985. The World Championship has not been won back-to-back since 1959 and 60, when Jacques Brabham did it. And this is Ayrton Senna. There is Niki Lauda, step out of the car. Ayrton Senna of Brazil, very young, very talented. A little line going up the tire that John Bizignano is pointing out to me on the screen that you saw there. These lines that you can sometimes see on the tires, and you see it on the right of your picture, you can see a streak on that front tire. It's sometimes called pick-up. They pick up some of the loose stuff and the bits of rubber, and it'll clear itself when it goes round a right-hand bend now. It'll scrub that stuff away, chances are. And look, they're preparing to come in for tyres right now. We speculated whether this would happen. He has what they call double A compound on the right rear, with the A compound on the other 3. Now, for those who are very technical in this, it just means that these compounds are harder. The double A compound is the hardest compound. Live Formula 1 action in Rio de Janeiro will continue on ESPN after this.
Wechsel für ihn. Es war ja die Frage bei einzelnen Teams, ob es sich lohnen würde, die Reifen zu wechseln. voll zu fahren von Anfang an oder zurückhalten. Das ist Elio De Angelis. Er kommt, um die Reifen zu wechseln. Passen wir auf, ob alles gut geht. Das ist ja immer so ein Risiko. Heute Morgen wurde kräftig geübt bei einigen Teams. Sehr viel länger als 10 Sekunden darf es nicht dauern. Na, doll war das aber nicht. Doll war das offen gestanden. Nicht 18 Sekunden stand Elio De Angelis für seinen Reifenwechsel an der Box. Nun suchen die brasilianischen Kameras natürlich Senna im Lotus auf dem 2. Rang. Der Rückstand auf Alboreto etwa 9 Sekunden. Das ist einiges, aber das ist nicht zu viel, denn man weiß ja nicht genau, unter welchen Bedingungen gerade gefahren wird. Man weiß zum Beispiel nicht, ob Michele Alboreto vorhat, noch an die Box zu fahren oder ob seine Reifen halten. Das Gleiche weiß man nicht von Senna, da Elio De Angelis...
That was in Rio de Janeiro, this is John Bizignano with second third. And as you can see, all-time winners, third, 27, Jim Clark, 25, Juan Fangio, actually from Argentina, the neighboring country here, 24. Tied Niki Lauda, 24, but not today. Sterling Moss, another Brit, 16, tied with Alain Prost at 16. 7 of those wins came in 1984.
A lot more pit action. 18.27 seconds was for that last pit stop. When the Lotus came in of Elio De Angelis when we were away for a commercial, it took them 18.1 seconds to fit 4 new tyres. Alain Prost has still not been in the pits. He's still running coolly. He seems to be well in control. He's now completed 26 laps of this 61-lap race. And there the order is matted up. Prost, Alboreto, Senna, Arnoux, De Cesare. That's pretty impressive. And then De Angelis, because remember De Angelis was in the pits. And here we have another pit one. That's Martini, but he's in trouble. He's not doing so well. He's not coming in quickly. He looks like he's had an engine cut on him. That wasn't looking good for him. It looked to me like he was in trouble. He hasn't been running near the front all day long, but nevertheless, he's in trouble. He's actually being pushed up the pit lane, Jackie. He's definitely having a power problem. Jackie, we have learned that the problem on Niki Lauda's car was electrical. How much of a psychological problem is that for a teammate? Alain sees that his teammate Niki Lauda is out of the race. Does that put a psychological bug? Oh, there's just been an accident in the back stretch. We're looking out of it. It's nothing big. It's okay. It's not anything dramatic. But René Arnoux is involved in it. Suddenly decelerated and suddenly was hit from behind. He seems to be okay. I think it's not a problem really. De Cesare, who in fact is involved, there he is right there. And he suddenly came up behind Arnoux and hit him so hard. It looked like Arnoux was suddenly slowed and De Cesare wasn't paying attention. It could have been that he had a throttle stick open. I don't know. But it certainly was potentially a high-speed accident. It was up in position, and there is De Cesare walking back, driving the French Ligier with the Renault engine, and he had himself in pretty healthy position. He had himself up into 5th position, and in fact he was right behind Arnoux at the time, so he was racing with Arnoux. This could certainly affect René Arnoux' finishing position because the car was hit hard in the rear end. It was the left rear wheel that got hit. And therefore, there could be a problem for him in the future. You were asking me a question about what Alain Prost thought about the electrical problem that maybe had taken out his own teammate. Does that put a thought in a teammate's mind that the same problem could occur to him? Quite frankly, he's just pleased to have one of his competitors drop out. They will tell him on a board or through the radio that Lauda's problem was electrical. Therefore, he won't see that to be a major problem. The McLarens this week here have been experiencing a suspension problem. This is a brand new car. And there's the problem of Arnoux. That's René Arnoux in the number 28 Ferrari. He was hit on that rear wheel by De Cesare in the incident that I spoke to you about. He has to drive back very carefully now, or he's going to lose that entire rubber. And if that happens, he won't even make it back to the pits. And he's got a long way to go, John. This is costly for him. I think you can count out René Arnoux from the leaderboard unless everybody else falls out. By the time he gets that car back to the pit, there would have to be some suspension damage after such a long trip. Well, it's a delicate balance of driving fast enough to get back to the pits as quickly as he can without going too fast and therefore having the tire break up completely. And now Alan Prost is coming into the pits. Prost is coming into the pits. And there he is. Just opposite our commentary position, the leader coming in for a tire change. Let's have a look at this. The counter will be in the bottom left-hand side of your picture, and it's running. The clock is running. Of course, the McLaren team is one of the most proficient in Formula 1. 9, 10, 10.7. And he goes away. But when you consider and Alboreto is coming into the pits also. He's chosen to come in at the same time. That means that the Brazilian is now leading the race, and the crowd here is absolutely gone crazy. Ferrari pit stop is a little bit longer, and they've left it before the time that Alan Prost had gone out, but it was about an 11-second pit stop for Michele Alboreto. Alan Prost and fresh rubber. This is important. The rubber works better when it's new. You see the spots on the tires there? These are the labels that are still on those spots that you're seeing flashing on that right rear or left rear tire. That, of course, will be rubbed off in no time at all. And now he's got back to the pits. Good. And now there's nothing left of that tire, but he's pitted forward. He's locked up. René Arnoux, a luckless driver in many ways. He's not had a lot of good fortune in his career. His own teammate Alboreto now seems to be the prominent member of that team. As Niki Lauda weaves his way around this racetrack, beautifully situated in the foothills here of quite a mountainous area. The mountain, very quick pit stop by Ferrari. We don't have a clock on it because they were on-track camera. But still, it's a very quick pit stop for Ferrari. They may have only changed one tire, though. We'll have to see exactly what position he comes back out onto the track in. He'll have changed all four tires, but now Ayrton Senna is coming into the pits. Here he comes, Ayrton Senna, the young Brazilian driver. Now this is very important for Lotus. 100,000. Lauda's going back out of the pit. Lauda has got back into his car and is rejoining the race. Falling off the jack there, the Lotus of Ayrton Senna. Every Brazilian here is holding his breath. All eyes concentrated on the pit. 12. It's a long one, Jackie. 13, 14, 16 seconds. Well, it's 16 seconds, but it's faster than his teammate. De Angelis went out in 18.1 seconds. Alain Prost back in the lead again. Yeah, well, Prost, in fact, never did lose the lead. He was lucky enough to hold the lead. That's how important a quick pit stop is. That's the young Helmut Berger coming into the pits, the young Austrian driver who's done very well, driving the number 17 car. Berger from Austria, driving the Adders with a BMW engine. Gerhard Berger was actually in a very serious road accident just at the end of last year. And he does have some serious neck problems, and this high-strain race course might be taking its toll. He thought he could finish, but really started this race not knowing if he was physically fit to go the distance. So Alan Prost still is the Brazilian Grand-Prix. We've completed 31 laps of this 61-lap race. Prost still leading, Alboreto in second place, and Ayrton Senna in third place. It's opened out to be a very happy lead for this Alan Prost, driving very coolly.
Barkley Arrows back on the track with Berger, BMW power. Actually, the Arrows, as far as BMW power at the moment, are the only ones left in the event. Alan Prost has done the fastest lap so far on a time of 136.82 miles an hour. Excuse me, that's been time in miles an hour is 116.236 miles per hour average around this racetrack. Remember that there are some second-gear corners here, so to have that high of an average lap at the end of these two long straightaways, they're doing well over 180 miles an hour. Alain Prost, the leader, checking his mirrors. Certainly one of the most professional drivers, not only in Formula One, but in the world. Through the S's, up along the lagoon, helicopter shot. TV Global here with numerous cameras trying to give the very best shots and race coverage possible. And he's really all alone now. There's no one pushing him from behind, no one to catch. He can conserve himself and the car. And now onto the pit straight. Along the back marker.
Okay, we'll give you an update of the leaderboard after we return after this.
Vermutlich ein neuerlicher Defekt aufgetreten. Aber es gibt im Augenblick wenige Möglichkeiten, Formel-1-Autos zu testen. Ganz zurück in Europa sind, in England sind es Mitte der Woche und dann kann man sie ja schon nach 3-4 Tagen wieder Richtung Estoril verladen. Lauter immer noch in der Box. Das ist der Italiener Genzani. Ist 13. unmittelbar vor Gerhard Berger. Der führende Alain Prost. Berger, ich habe es Ihnen angekündigt, auf den 14. Platz zurückgefallen. Hier die Ingenieure von Bosch am Wagen von Niki Lauda. Vielleicht eine Befürchtung eingetroffen, dass irgendetwas mit der neuen Digitalanzeige nicht stimmen kann, eine zusätzliche Gefahrenquelle. Allerdings Alain Prost fährt ohne Defekt ein Bilderbuchrennen und führt bereits 25 Sekunden vor Alboreto, 42 vor Senna, 59 vor De Angelis. Die 4 Fahrer noch in der gleichen Runde, auch in der gleichen Minute. Fünfter ist ganz erstaunlich, Philippe Alliot, der Franzose, der allerdings seinen Boxenhalt noch vor sich hat. Dann Palme, Butzen, Lafitte, Gerhard Berger 14. 2 Runden Rückstand, dann Shiva Voig, der jetzt an den Boxen ist, und dann mit jetzt 6 Runden Rückstand bereits Niki Lauda. Wieder Alain Prost. Philippe Alliot, der Franzose, ehemaliger Formel 3 und Formel 2 Fahrer, liegt zum ersten Mal in den...
Alain Prost still firmly in position. In second position is Alboreto driving the Ferrari. In third position is Ayrton Senna. In fourth position is Elio De Angelis. In fifth position, the first American, is Eddie Cheever. He's in fifth position. And in sixth position right now, we have Patrick Tambay. So that's the update, and there's Niki Lauda, who's been in the pits, out the pits, in the pits, and is now leaving the pits again. Ayrton Senna, young Brazilian. A lot of people are saying he's going to be the next new world champion.
He's certainly fast enough, if his equipment is dependable enough. Going on to the main straightaway there, a beautiful shot. And is the leaderboard. Alboreto, Senna, De Angelis, Tambay, and a lot. Quite a few French drivers there in the pits. A lot in the Skull Bandit, the Ram Hart-powered car. Ayrton Senna. Of course, the Brazilian cameras are going to stay on at Ayrton for some time. The local hero always gets quite a bit of camera time. The Lotuses have actually not been able to quite match their qualifying speed. They dominated the first day of qualifying here, being 1 and 2, and they were the first cars ever under 27 around the rail track. Many people thought that Ayrton did not have the maturity to get dropped into this situation at this particular event with a top team going so quickly and under so much national pressure. Well, he's proven today that he does have the maturity. He has not put a wheel wrong. Not getting in any trouble on the start and during the first half of the race. Ayrton Senna, beautiful John Player special Team Lotus. Also being sponsored by Olympus this year. And into the pits, Jackie Stewart's old team, car number 4, Stefan Johansson, locking him up. Stefan is actually contracted to the Coleman team this season and was picked out on Friday morning to drive the field. The Coleman's not showing up at Rio because they don't have any tires. They started, and like Nicky Lauda may have to call it a day now. ESPN, Auto Racing 85 will continue live from the Brazilian Grand Prix after these messages.
Verzweifelter Versuch bei einer japanischen Reifenfirma noch 5.000 Gratis-Reifen und 5,5 Millionen Dollar Sponsorgelder loszureißen, ist fehlgeschlagen. Johansson und John Watson, die bei Tolman Vertrag haben, sind quasi arbeitslos. Hierin hat Johansson hier als Vertragspilot für den deutschen Stefan verpflichtet. Hat sich weiter gesteigert, 1,36,7 in der 34. Runde, Schnitt 187 Kilometer pro Stunde. Und sein Vorsprung wird eher noch größer. Prost führt jetzt 26 Sekunden auf Alboreto, 50 vor Senna und 1 Minute 08 vor De Angelis, der immer langsamer wird. Dann 5. Traumpe, 6. Alio, 7. Lafitte, 8. Bussen, 9. Brandl, 10. Arnoux, 11. Johansson, der...
This is the Brazilian Grand Prix in Rio de Janeiro. Jackie Stewart with John Bizignano looking at the leader, car number 2, the red and white Marlboro with the tag engine. Alain Prost, the driver, driving what appears at the moment to be a copybook race. Prost, Albert second, Ayrton Senna of Brazil third, De Angelis, his teammate, is fourth, Patrick Tamby is fifth, and Alio is in sixth position right now. But the man who's leading everybody is Alain Prost, coming up to lap Reniano, driving the Ferrari, who had a tire problem earlier after being hit from behind by Ducesare in the Ligier. That is the Ferrari who's being lapped. He's not in contention in this race right now. And you can see him moving over in this main straight. It looks like he's passed Martin Brundle in the Ford normally aspirated Formula 1 Tyrrell. Number 2, Alain Prost, the bridesmaid for quite a few years in Grand Prix racing. Was never able to clinch the World Championship, still hasn't. Nevertheless, one of the drivers that everybody expects to win the World Championship. There's a 27.763 second gap between Prost and Alboreto. Global television tells us this on what is a world feed. This telecast will be going to probably 25 different nations around the world. We are very privileged to be bringing this live to you. ESPN will be covering 14 Grand Prix events in 1985, live, as we are today. Alain Prost is looking for that to get through René Arnoux. Keep in mind that Arnoux, driving for Ferrari, is the teammate of Alboreto, who's in second position, but Prost made a very clean job of that. Passed him on the outside going into the left-hand bend. Prost has been in for tires. Alboreto's been in for tires. The Goodyear runners certainly showing dominance today here in incredibly high temperatures in Brazil. The track temperatures are around about 125 degrees Fahrenheit. The cockpit temperatures will be close to 160 degrees. The drivers will lose the best part of 6 to 9 pounds in weight. That's a lot. These are little fellas. Alan Cross stands around about 5'6" in height. Probably weighs no more than 138 pounds, 140 pounds. It's all muscle though. Very fit, does a lot of road running, a lot of fitness. Lives very close by me in Switzerland. We're good friends. They play tennis a lot. He's a very good all-round athlete. He was a very good soccer player. Was asked to play soccer for Saint-Etienne, one of the best soccer clubs in all of France. He's an excellent skier. Turns his hand pretty well to almost anything. He's taken up golf. He now jointly owns a golf club near to Lyon with Jacques Lafitte, one of the other French drivers. Prost is certainly a man that I've chosen to win the World Championship in 1985. ESPN's Auto Racing 85 will continue live from the Brazilian Grand-Pri after this message.
Heiß hier, weit über 40 Grad, das heißt Saunatemperaturen in den Cockpits und ich kann mir ungefähr vorstellen, wie die Fahrer leiden. Prost, Alboreto, die 25 Sekunden auseinander liegen. Dann auch Senna, De Angelis, Haume, Lafitte und so weiter. Diese 6 Fahrer kämpfen um Weltmeisterschaftspunkte. Dahinter Alliot, Bussen, Arnoux, Brandl, Winkelhoff, Johansson, Berger 13. Dann gibt es Sani, Chiva und Warwick. Alboreto möchte heute unbedingt unter die ersten 3 kommen. Im Augenblick keine Positionskämpfe. Michele Alboreto auf Ferrari ist sicher Zweiter, 26,5 Sekunden hinter Prost, 27 Sekunden vor Senna. Dann weitere 20 Sekunden vor Elio De Angelis an sicherer 4. Stelle. Elio De Angelis voriges Jahr Weltmeisterschaftsdritter, Weltmeister der 2. Division, kann man sagen, bester Nicht-McLaren-Fahrer. Und sein Vorsprung auf den 5. Patrick Camné beträgt fast eine Runde.
We're back in Brazil, but NASCAR's Northwestern Bank 400 will be held here on ESPN on Sunday, April 21st at 1 p.m. Eastern Time and 10 a.m. Pacific Time. That'll be live. ESPN, your driving force and auto racing coverage, travels to North Wilkesdale, North Carolina, for NASCAR's Northwestern Bank 400. Tim Richmond will defend his win against the best drivers in the business. Expected to be heading for the checkered flag are Darrell Waltrip, Richard Petty, Bobby Allison, Neil Bonnet and Terry Labonte. $246,000 is at stake. Sunday, April 21st, when ESPN drops the green flag on NASCAR's Northwestern Bank 400 here on US Coast for Sport. Of course, we hope you enjoyed yesterday's Valleydale 500 from Bristol. Dale Earnhardt, of course, Dale won that race. He was the winner. He's going well this year. In the meantime, we're back in Brazil right now, and we're looking at Ayrton Senna in the black John Player Special. It's a Lotus constructed up in Norfolk, in the east of England. Ayrton Senna is Brazilian. The engine is the French Renault. The tires are American Goodyears. So it's quite a group of nationalities all grouped together there to present a very international package. There are 10 different nationalities of drivers on the starting grid of this Grand Prix, and you can see the difference between Alboreto and Senna is 30 seconds. That's quite a handful. The order as I see it right now after 39 laps. And here we have another car in the pits. Coming in through the pits, car number 29. That there is Martini, a young Italian driver. Coming along quite well. He's still got a lot to learn, but it's a good place to start the first event in the World Championship. So I have Niki Lauda out at the moment. He's had troubles with his car. He's been in and out of the pits. He's not in contention, but his teammate, Alain Prost, is still leading. Michele Alboreto is in second place. Third place is Ayrton Senna, the man you've been looking at, and that's Prost in your picture right now from our helicopter shot. Then we've got De Angelis in fourth place. In fifth place, Patrick Canby we have. Then Eddie Cheever is after him, the only American driver in the race. So that's something for Eddie, driving his Alfa Romeo. So the Benetton sponsorship as we're looking high from our helicopter shot of Prost finding his way around the S's here. Prost leading the race. Alboreto is dead second. Senna and the two teammates. Prost comes along in the heat there. You can see the mist of heat. Tremendous temperatures here in Brazil. What we're looking at on that track will certainly be no less than 125 degrees.
Remember, Jackie, it was at this race that Ricardo Patrese actually fainted during the event, driving the car. And he barely made it back to the pits until he totally collapsed inside the cockpit.
And then on the winner's rostrum last year, Nelson Piquet, after receiving the garland and the great big bottle of Moët Chandon, suddenly fell over and he fainted.
His knees went out from underneath him, and it wasn't from the champagne, it was from the real heat. There we have Alain Prost, Alboreto, Senna, De Angelis, both Lotuses still together. Tambay, another Renault-powered car. Jack Lafitte, another Renault-powered car. The Renault-powered car is doing very well here, actually.
The engine reliability has been very good so far. The BMW engine reliability has not been so good, although Terry Dixon, a young Belgian driver, has waged his way up through the field. Dixon restarted very badly from the very back of the grid. The car suddenly had a problem and he wasn't able to get away from the grid, and then therefore started in 25th position. He got himself up to 8th position, which is pretty impressive. So Dixon has been going well.
The way McLaren has dominated this race is the way they dominated all of last season. Jackie, what do you think of the unfair advantage McLaren has had?
Well, it's not an unfair advantage. It's a well-managed Ron Dennis, who masterminds this team, has done one heck of a job. Mansur Ogier is of Arab descent, is the man who's put the money up for this tag Porsche engine. They've got the best cars, they've got the best drivers, they've got the best mechanics, they've got the best engines right now, and therefore they're winning races. So we'll be back for more live coverage of this Brazilian Grand Prix, and we will continue ESPN's coverage after this.
Zuversicht hat man in diesem Team nicht gespürt, denn wie der Teamchef sagt, zu viel Zuversicht ist eine Schwäche. 44. Runde. 17 Runden noch im großen Preis von Brasilien. Berger 13. 6 Sekunden hinter Winkelhock, 11 Sekunden jetzt vor Eddie Cheever. Der Gizani durch den Boxenstopp des Osella-Fahrers überholt hat.
The Brazilian Grand-Pri, Jackie Stewart along with John Bisignano. There's been a lot of pit action today. There's been a lot of cars in and out of the pits. The man you're looking at right now is Alain Prost from France, a 30-year-old racing driver who's adapted very well to the enormous heat here, around about 97, 98 degrees of temperature in Fahrenheit. He's driving his number 2 red and white Marlboro McLaren with a tag engine. He's driven really conservatively, John, all the way through this race. He's never appeared to be hurried, and that's really the name of the game. That shows maturity. And Prost, in my opinion, is just setting himself up for what should be a very good season.
Into the pits, it's the American driver, the only American into the event. It is the Alfa Romeo. You see, if it's 4 tires, Alfa Romeo Benetton team poised, ready to go. Sometimes they put on quite a good show. Stop. Back to the track action. You were saying about Alain Prost. This is what we saw him do so many times last year, Jackie. 7 Grand-Prix wins, and he never looked like he was rushing one of them. Never really getting out of control, going over his 9/10 or 10/10 race plan. And of course, when you're driving, like you say, the best car with the best chassis, the best tires, the best motor, that can be made to look easy.
Well, all the good ones make it look easy. I think that's for sure. Prost is certainly one of the men to look at. Right now, this is the man who's looking for Prost. Michele Alboreto, driving the Ferrari, car number 27. Very good, but today not quite good enough. I must say that I forecast that Alboreto would win this race before we all started this telecast. I thought he would win it and Prost would be second. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen, although we've got some distance still to run. So it's completed, in fact, at least Alain Prost has completed 44 laps. Our order shows right here. Alboreto in second place, Senna in third, De Angelis in fourth, Patrick Tandy fifth, Jacques Lafitte sixth, Reniamu seventh, Alio's eighth, Goodson is ninth, coming up from 25th position, and Martin Brundle gets into the top 10, driving the normally aspirated Ford Cosworth engine in the Tyrrell chassis. Young Martin Brundle from the UK. John, one thing we should address here is that Ayrton Senna, who is in third position and is the Brazilian hero of this day at this very moment, suffered quite a serious illness at the end of last season. He had an infection to his central nervous system, and that's the man we're looking at right now. He got paralysis of the right-hand side of his face, he lost taste, he lost feeling, and everybody was very concerned for a while, as we see, by the way, Eddie Cheever's coming back into the track, and he's now into the pits. He's going very slowly. It looks like he's had an engine problem. There's something wrong with him. He's not going along there at his normal speed. I'm afraid it may mean that the office is closing for him. But this is Ayrton Senna, and he hasn't fully recovered from this problem yet. Part of the paralysis is still there. It's down the side of the face. Lots of people thought that he had suffered a stroke. All sorts of people thought the worst, that he had a tumor of some kind. His stamina had been lacking, and really it was a serious threat as to whether he could continue his racing. Well, I think we're looking at a man today who's convincing a lot of people that he's pretty damn fit. So he's out there in third position in very difficult temperatures. He's not a strong man to look at. He's quite a frail-looking young man. But right now, his head is firmly in position. You quite often see a racing driver, when he gets tired, his head will start to flop from one side to another because the neck muscles give up. These crash helmets are pretty heavy, and that can certainly play a part in recognizing drivers to be.
Well, during that time, he also lost 15 pounds. And of course, in this heat, he can lose another 5 or 10. He's gained back some of that. So it just shows what determination and will can do. Of course, racing car drivers are known to be brave individuals. Then here we have the leading board.
Well, we have Alain Prost leading, we have Michele Alboreto in second place, Ayrton Senna in third position, Elio De Angeli in fourth, Patrick Tandy is fifth, Jacques Lafitte is sixth, ESPN's Auto Racing 85 will continue. This is Jackie Stewart and John Bizignano live from Rio de Janeiro.
Fahrer an ihrer Kondition gearbeitet haben, ist Berger im Spital gelegt. Während die anderen Fahrer bereits testen konnten, hat Berger telefoniert mit Sponsoren wegen Vertrag, Möglichkeiten bei Aeros und so weiter. Ist eigentlich weder richtig zum gesund werden noch zum Trainieren noch zum Testen gekommen. Immer noch sind Jochen Rindt und Niki Lauda die einzigen Österreicher, die von einem Weltmeisterschaftspunkt erreicht haben. Dass in dieser Saison Gerhard Berger als Dritter dazukommen wird. Leider sehr wenig Positionskämpfe jetzt im Grand-Pri von Brasilien in der zweiten Hälfte und im letzten Drittel.
We're back live in Rio de Janeiro for the Brazilian Grand Prix. You're looking at the leader. This is Jackie Stewart with John Bizignano. Car number 2 is Alan Prost. He's 23.5 seconds ahead of Michele Alboreto in the Ferrari, who's in second position. This is the first of our 1985 live coverages of Grand Prix racing that we'll be bringing to you on ESPN. We're going to bring 14 of them live. It's certainly the best auto racing coverage for Grand Prix motor racing that has ever been into North America. We're going to bring to you the next event, which will be the Portuguese Grand Prix, which will take place on Sunday, the 21st of April at Estoril. So come and join us then, where we'll give you some more action in Grand Prix racing. Remy Arnoux is the driver on our screen. He ran into trouble earlier. He was hit from behind by Andrea De Cesare. He burst left rear wheel of tyre, had to go around the racetrack slowly to get back to the pits, had spent a lot of time doing that, has now worked himself back up, and when we last saw him, he was back on the leaderboard, but he still was suffering badly. He was, I think he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th position, which was pretty darn good. Remy Arnoux, a right little fighter, another of the French school of Grand Prix drivers. For a while there was many of them, as many as 7 or 8 Grand Prix drivers would make up a grid of 26 cars. So Arnoux is a sort of ferret-like looking young man, very intense, very light. He's an amazing character. He's a country boy, really. He likes to go onto the farm, seldom wants to do any public appearances. Grand Prix racing is very different from American racing when it comes to the drivers working on personal appearances for their many sponsors. Grand Prix drivers, and wait a minute, Elliot De Angelis, as we look out of our position in our commentary position, and there you see him right there, is coming in. Is that De Angelis or is that Senna? It's Ayrton Senna. Ayrton Senna in third position is coming into the pit. He switched off the motor. He's going very slowly. Tragedy for the Brazilian crowd. I look down from the commentary position here. The Brazilians have been up in their feet and they've sat back down, because they can see, as we can see, that this is a very slow arrival for Ayrton Senna. Pointing to the motor there, Jackie. They're going to take off the rear cowling. Even Brazilian television doesn't think that it is worthy of staying with that story, as they go back out to find Michele Alboreto driving his Ferrari in second position. Alboreto, a young driver who's driven in Formula 2, Formula 3, driven in World Championship sports car racing, driven for Ken Tittle in Formula 1, where he cut his teeth. And really one of the fine gentlemen of Formula 1, Michele. Many Italians seem to be very proud of him joining the Ferrari team. He was actually invited into the team personally by Enzo Ferrari. He hopes to have an Italian champion in his red Ferrari
within the next few seasons. They have the equipment and the drivers now to secure the championship. And there, the Barclay Aero is closing the door on Alboreto.
Well, that was something. It was the driver in the Barclay Aeros there apologized after he hadn't seen the Ferrari. He raised his hand and apologized after that pass had taken place. So he knows that he's potentially caused a problem. Senna's still sitting in the car in his Lotus. Peter Ward is the man with the yellow hat leaning over him. He's the team manager. The car is still well and truly in the pit crew as Alboreto continues his very steady drive in second position, but he's really not in a position to threaten Alain Prost in any way at all.
It's only going to be through some mechanical failure or the possibility of Prost having to make another pit stop. And here's the sad scene of Ayrton Senna, John Player, Team Lotus. They're looking at, actually, it looks like the electrics of the car.
Well, that brings Elio De Angelis up into third place, his own teammate. Michele Alboreto in second. Alain Prost is still in first. Live Formula One action from Rio de Janeiro will continue on ESPN after this.
Johansson 10. und Berger 11. Berger hat den deutschen Winkelhock soeben überholt. Dann Gisani und dann Boy. Dann mit bereits 7 Rückstand Eddie Schieber. Gerhard Berger vor dem deutschen Manfred Winkelhock. Bei Winkelhock und ATS gab es im Folgejahr ja noch verbitterte Gesichter. Lachen kann mit dem Tiroler Gerhard Berger. Hier Rennen ist für die Deutschen bekannt mit sehr guter Ergebnis. De Angelis eine Runde in und 1,5 Runden in der Alain Prost.
We're in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. We're live. This is ESPN's continuing coverage of the Brazilian Grand-Prix. The car you're looking at is the local heroes. Ayrton Senna, young Brazilian driver. He's been in the pit. He's been in third position, and he's lost that position, much to the concern of the Brazilian fans. The man who's leading the race is this one, Alain Prost, Frenchman, now living in Switzerland, driving the McLaren-sponsored Brabham-sponsored McLaren, and there you see the order. Prost, Alboreto, De Angelis they've got up there, Senna, Tambay and Arnoux.
Hello, De Angelis is starting a very fine race. He gets behind the first and second place car, but that could still be the strongest place to become the winner. Again, he was the fastest here in first day qualifying, and a bit of a crowd coming down the main straight there. Alain Prost certainly taking a cautious look at that bunch of back markers. This is no place to have someone within their own race battle make a touch on his particular chassis. He has to also consider that these people might be racing for a particular place, and that one position is extremely important to them.
Alain Prost showing the maturity that could bring him a world championship in '85 if my forecast comes true. He doesn't want to pick anybody off until it's absolutely end. There is the end of the day for Ayrton Senna. He's out of his car. And the two turtles are racing together as we continue to see Senna in a dejected fashion. They're coming onto the pit straight. Alain Prost accelerates past one turtle. The turbo power showing there as he passes the second turtle. And he gets him going into turn one, coming out of turn one, heading towards the Carlos Pax corner. Great Brazilian driver, lovely fella, Carlos Pax, who raced against him many times. And apparently has lost his life in an aircraft accident in very difficult weather conditions here in Brazil, along with a fellow racing driver, a fellow who used to drive for Alfa Romeo sports cars over here in their private plane. They went down and lost all lives on board. But Alain Prost is now judging carefully what he's going to be doing. 21 seconds he is ahead of Michele Alboreto. Long team, watches and clocks giving us our official timing here. And this is the main stretch. This is the main stretch. Look how much space Prost is giving to all of these other cars, allowing himself not to be involved in any of the potential hassles that one can get into lapping slower cars.
There's something we should bring up, Jackie. All the American public has to be wondering the latest story on top of the American team that is being formed and will be competing within the Formula One team in the very near future. Beatrice Lola Hart. I was lucky enough to attend their latest press conference, and things are developing with the team very satisfactorily. They hope to be testing by June. The car being first run on the British tracks, and then actually going down to Monza for the first of events in September 9th, I believe it is. And it's certainly going to be good to see an American entrant coming back into Formula One.
Right, let's have a look as Alan Prost passed another back marker, is still holding his lead. Let's have a look at what happened in 1984 with the constructors. Now that's the teams themselves, the makers of those cars. The McLaren team won the Constructors' Championship with a record 143.5 points, something that's never been done ever in the history of the sport, even by people like Ferrari or Mercedes-Benz. Ferrari, in fact, were second last year with 57.5 points. What a difference, 143 to 57. Lotus were third with 47 points in the Constructors' Championship. Brabham were fourth, Renault were fifth, and the Williams team was sixth. McLaren won 12 out of the 16 races last year, so they look as if they're off to a rather a good start in 1985 with Alan Prost as we look down from one of our 13 cameras that have been supplied here by Global Television, the national chain here, to cover this Brazilian Grand Prix. I would remind you all, sitting up there in Boston, New Hampshire, New York, and California, that we're live from Rio de Janeiro.
Jackie, let me ask you, the Beatrice designated driver is Alain Jones. Now, he's been retired for the past several seasons. What psychological and physical problems is he going to have coming out of retirement?
Well, he's going to come back a little overweight. He's going to come back a little stiff. By the way, it's down to 18 seconds, the gap between Prost and Alboreto. Alboreto is closing the gap quite quickly. And we'll be back with more live coverage from Rio de Janeiro after this. Well, Alan Prost leads, 7 laps to go. We'll be back.
Die Einspritzung. Schade für die vielen brasilianischen Fans, die so begeistert hier mitgehen und die sich natürlich heute sehr viel erhofft haben. Zu Stefan Bellof kann ich noch sagen, was hier so in den letzten Tagen, es waren ja nur 2 seit seiner Abreise, geredet wurde zum Vorfall Bellof und Tyrrell. Niki Lauda zum Beispiel, ich hätte es an Ken Tyrrells Stelle genauso gemacht, denn was man so lesen konnte über den Winter, was der Stefan so alles über sein Team und das Auto und die Verhandlungen von sich gegeben hat. Lauda meinte, wenn ich halt Angestellter bin, irgendwo einen Vertrag habe, dann muss ich meinen Mund halten, dann muss ich mich in gewisser Weise fügen. Also er kann die Maßnahme von Tyrrell verstehen. Ken Tyrrell meint, er möchte Bellof auf alle Fälle halten. Er hofft, dass man sich in der nächsten Woche trifft zu einem Gespräch und er möchte, dass eine Einigung erzielt wird. Er wird, so sagt er, auf alle Fälle nicht mit Maurer, mit Herrn Maurer, dem Manager von Stefan Bellof, sprechen, sondern er wird auf alle Fälle nur mit Stefan alleine verhandeln. Andererseits gibt es natürlich die Gerüchte, dass der französische Sponsor von Tyrrell, eine Mineralölfirma, darauf drängt, dass ein französischer Fahrer ins Team von Tyrrell kommt und es werden auch Namen genannt, und zwar die Formel 2 erfahrenen Alain Sorté und Philipp Streif. Was an diesen Gerüchten wahr ist, nun, man wird abwarten müssen. Auch Stefan Bellof wird es vielleicht abwarten müssen.
Rio de Janeiro from the Brazilian Grand Prix. The second red car in your picture is that of Alboreto, the young Italian driver who's in the midst of trying to get past his own teammate. And Alain Prost is the leader of the race. That is him in car number 2, so he's ahead of Alboreto. Has been for quite a long time now. He's driving, I would suggest, conservatively. Conserving his tires, conserving his engine, trying to keep everything cool, and temperatures around 97, 98 degrees Fahrenheit. Our current leader coming on to approaching the 90-degree corner, which will now lead him on to the final corner on the racetrack, which is the pit hairpin. Heavy braking down into second gear. Getting the power on smoothly, as he always does, coming across the start-finishing line to complete 56 laps of a 61-lap race. The leaders, incidentally, that we have here, John, and our lap chart may differ from that of the officials, because we have our own lap charter here, is Prost, Alboreto, De Angelis, Arnold, Tambi, and Lafitte. Now we have, in fact, Patrick Tambi in a different position. We don't have them there. We have Arno in third position. Now ours is unofficial, and of course the map that you saw a few moments ago giving the standings that Brazilian television gave us are also unofficial. So we're going to have to keep up with this story as we go along.
You know, Jackie, it's hard for me to think that Arno made up that much time. He went around this track very slowly for 3/4 of the distance. I just can't believe that he's that high back up into the field.
It would seem to be unlikely, but keep in mind that everybody else has been in the pits also, and they haven't all been going too fast. We'll have to just stay with this story and see what's happening, and of course we've got to depend on the officials giving confirmation.
Well, one thing I'm sure of is that in our predictions up here in the booth that you were talking about, I predicted Prost as the winner. And we have wagered the fantastic amount of 5,000 Brazilian pesos. Of course, that only comes out to about $10. But still, everyone up here has pitched in, and these last 5 laps will be very important to us.
Well, Alain Prost is your man, and he certainly looks very healthy at the present time. I had it the other way around. I had Alboreto leading with Prost in second place for my countdown, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen. Alain Prost going into turn 1. A fast, constant radiant curve. Very quick, taken in 4th gear, accelerating along now to the Carlos Patsy, which is a left-hander.
So many times we've seen this same picture last year. And I really do hope that it continues throughout this season. If there's anyone who deserves the World Championship, it's bridesmaid Alain Prost.
That would be very nice. It would be, of course, very impressive for McLaren to win the championship back-to-back as a team. Tag, which is Technique Avant-Garde, a French company with very strong Arab connections. Mansour Ogier is the son of Akrim Ogier, who owns Tag. He's down here with his American wife for this Grand Prix with their new baby. It's quite a family happening down here. Of course, everybody comes to the sunshine from the winter of Europe and, of course, from North America.
Again, speaking of the American involvement, we have to remember that the chassis of that car was actually the first carbon fiber chassis that was developed by Hercules, an American firm based out of Salt Lake City. So their contribution to this sport has been revolutionary in many ways, actually.
Well, there's a lot of things happening in Grand Prix racing vis-a-vis the United States. The composite carbon fiber that you speak of, the Hercules product, certainly came to Europe from America. As you earlier mentioned, Beatrice coming in with the Carl Haas team later in this year. Everybody's looking forward to that. Alan Jones, as we said earlier, from Australia coming back after retirement. You had asked me the question, and I was beginning to answer where we had to break. Alan will have a tough job coming back into Grand Prix racing to be super competitive to begin with. He's with a new team, and it'll be interesting to see how everybody gets together. It'll take a few races for everybody to feel comfortable again, and for Alan to get back up to speed with his mind as well as his body. But when he did retire from Grand Prix racing a few years back, I think he was the best at that time. Nicky Lauda has shown that people can come back and can win. So I should think we'll be looking forward to Alain Prost being at least
Morris Jones went off to Australia. There's a 15 seconds. But I have to think that Prost is slowing down a little bit rather than Alboreto catching him up. Of course, the closing lap here has been so well described so many times that these are the times when the drivers are trying to conserve everything.
Well, there are only 3 laps left for Alan Prost, and it's on occasions like this the driver has to really take stock of what's happening. There's only 3 laps to go. He has to just be praying that the car will bring itself these extra 2.5 laps that he's got to do right now. No vibrations. He'll start to feel strange things. He'll start to look in his mirror to see if he can see the profile of his rear tires to make sure there's no problem there. He'll be looking out for his front tires and make sure that they're not wearing badly. And there's Martini coming into the pits, the young driver from Italy. He's close to the end, having to have a pit stop.
The minority car has been in and out of the pit several times this race, actually.
Well, a surprising number of cars still running, in fact. A lot of cars were expected to drop out of this race through heat and attrition. But I'm surprised at the number of cars still in this racetrack. It's quite a track. It's quite a challenging track with a hell of a lot of corners in it to take in this sort of temperature. So it's been quite there. We're down to 14 seconds between Alan Prost. Ooh, when he gets through there now. If that other driver had not seen him, that's the type of situation with only a couple of laps to go that can be very damaging.
You know, Jackie, at this point in the race last year, there were 3 cars that actually ran out of fuel. And then that developed the engine management systems. They're only running on 220 liters. So I don't think we're going to see anybody running out of fuel this time because of the new system. But still, can you imagine? I think it was Patrick Tambay was in 3rd place last year and ran out of fuel with only a half a lap to go.
Yeah, that is a disappointing thing. I've done that. I lost the Belgian Grand Prix one year through running out of gas. Slightly disappointing.
Yes, I can imagine. So,
by the way, there are 14 cars still running out of the 25 who started this race. 14 out of 25 in a Grand Prix in this temperature, John, I think is pretty impressive.
Well, it shows good mechanical development despite the technical problems that we talked about earlier. Tire overheating, engines overheating, and drivers overheating. They come down here 2 weeks early to get into training with the heat. But still, there's nothing as strenuous as actually doing the race.
And Alan Prost is about to start, and he has just crossed the start-finishing line. He's got 1 more lap to go. This, for him, is going to be a rather long lap, but it certainly is 3.126 miles around. We're probably going to stay with him. He'll be tired, his muscles will be sore, his neck will be aching. He'll have lost probably the best part of 6 to 7 pounds in weight. His tag engine McLaren with marvelous sponsorship is going to bring him today a very happy Grand Prix victory, which will bring him up to 17 Grand Prix victories in total, which will beat the record set by Sterling Moss. He's still got to beat, of course, Nicky Lauda, who's got 24, and somebody called Jackie Stewart.
Somebody like that. Well, you know that Prost has very high goals. He's going to go after every record in the sport. Retirement is not even in his mind whatsoever, Jackie.
Well, he's 30 years of age, young, he's fit, and he's got his mind in gear, and he's on his very last lap as he goes through the S's. He's got a turn now to go down to the lagoon.
I actually believe his contract with McLaren is for another 3 seasons. I mean, that was a very difficult negotiating point, but still, that was the end result of this year's contract.
Well, the checkered flag is being held by the official. They're coming into his last corner. He's braked for the last time. He's back on the power. He's driving his McLaren with Marlboro and Tag and everybody else very slowly past the finishing line. He had lots of time to do it. Now we're looking for Michele Alboreto to appear to take the checkered flag. Alan Prost is in his cooling down lap now. He must be very pleased and happy that. Remember, he won this Brazilian Grand Prix last year.
And also, Goodyear must be extremely pleased. Number 2 man, Michele Alboreto, crossing the line.
And there is Michele Alboreto drawing a line behind him. But he hasn't finished yet, has he?
Actually, Michele Alboreto came across the line just seconds after Prost, and it was René Arnoux who crossed about 20 seconds fast. The two of them giving each other a bit of congratulations. Sportsmanship even on the cool-off lap. Alain Prost. What a great feeling this must be for him. Waving to the crowd, the Brazilians not having their hero, but for sure, Alain Prost is a very popular victor, no matter where and when he's racing.
So in fact, Alboreto has firmly finished the Brazilian Grand Prix in second position. A very healthy position for him. You win the money, incidentally.
I do. 5,000 times 7. Jackie, it's also a great victory for Goodyear.
Yes.
Last year, the French tire company of Michelin dominated the entire series, and it's good to see Goodyear back up on the winner's podium where they belong. 1, 2, and 3, actually.
Well, it's a happy birthday present for Leo Mel, the head of the racing division, because it's his 49th birthday today. And to have a birthday present like that, what more could he want? Okay, we'll be back live to Rio de Janeiro just in a few moments after these messages. A live shot of the pit in the paddock area. Winners, Roskin, you can see Alboreto's up there, Alain Prost is up there. Let me quickly give you the order. Alain Prost wins the Brazilian Grand Prix. Alboreto second. D'Angelis in the Lotus third. Arnoux in the Ferrari is fourth. Patrick Tandy is fifth. Jacques Lafitte is sixth. Johansson in the Tyrrell is seventh. Brendan in the Tyrrell is eighth. Alio is ninth. And Terry Dixon, coming from the very back in 25th position after a slow start, gets into the top 10. Congratulations being offered to Alain Prost there by Elio D'Angelis, the young Italian. Michele Alboreto with his back to you right now in the red overalls. Prost putting his Goodyear hat on, as of course they all have, because the first three positions are filled by Goodyear. John, what do you think?
Well, Jack, I think it's been a great start to ESPN Auto Racing 85. A very competitive race, several leaders, several different chassis, several different motors. Goodyear dominating things. And I want to thank everyone for watching us, and please ask them, Jackie, as you did before, to join us in Portugal in 2 weeks' time, again live.
21st of April, you be with us live. Now, the Brazilian Grand Prix has been brought to you by BF Goodrich, makers of a complete line of high-performance TA radios. And by Amarol. It's a science, but it works like magic. and by Dodge and the totally new Dodge Lancer, the revolutionary new age of sedans. And don't forget to join Bob Jenkins and Larry Nuber every Thursday evening at 7:30 Eastern for Speed Week. And be sure and join John and me for the second stop on the World Championship Tour as we present live coverage once again, remember live, of the Grand-Prix of Portugal on Sunday 21st of April at 8:30. Get up early in the morning, 8:30 Eastern. Once again, Alain Prost wins the Brazilian Grand Prix. This is Jackie Stewart and John Bisignano from Rio de Janeiro.